We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today I'm joined by this lovely, lovely panel here to talk about Star Trek, the original series episode Day of the Dove, and Tom Brady's retiring. And I'm sorry I went like,
Yeah,
Big deal, man. Big deal.
That's really good news.
I'm glad that it was mentioned because I've just looked.
I barely know who Tom Brady is. I think he's associated with like the Eagles. Is it the Eagles?
The Tampa Bay
stop,
Buccaneers.
stop.
Oh, that's
New England Patriots, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm not a Patriots fan, but I would defend that. I would die on that hill.
is he?
Yeah. Well,
Is he better
yeah.
than Joe
they've actually-
Montana?
9 Super Bowl appearances. No one's even close to that. It's ridiculous.
in the UK now, they call him the goatee.
The
Greatest
goatee.
of all time, ever and ever.
Interesting.
Oh no, yeah, I don't think anyone's even gonna get close to that. Oh my god. Oh,
Oh, what is this? Ah! Ruben, you half-breed! You dirty rat, you killed my brother. There you go. That's a pocket-sized paint stick. Look at that.
Filling my mind with hate.
go away! Go away! Oh.
Very nice, very nice. That was the gag for the father. He's like, what did I just watch?
No, I always want to stab all of y'all to death at all times. So I'm kind of immune to the effect of it.
Yeah, dirty rat. Welcome. So we got an interesting episode, The Day of the Dove. I think this is one of Sub Commander Tall's favorites, right? You like this one a lot?
Yeah, I like this one quite a bit. Yeah, it's very entertaining.
Do you mind giving us a quick little summary of what happens in this episode?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so yeah, I haven't watched in a while, but I got it. So I'll go quick. They beam down. It's another purple sky planet. They're looking for colonists. There's nothing there. Then their Klingons beam down. They've both heard a distress call. Everyone's upset and ticked off, and we realize there's an alien that's causing this situation. They don't know it yet. So the Klingons force Captain Kirk and company to get them to beam back up on their ship. But Kirk very sneakily uses a move where the Klingons are stuck in transit.
No tricks, Kirk. No
After
tricks.
we get to the ship, yeah, they do eventually release the Klingons and keep them in the brig, and or actually they keep them in the. It doesn't matter. They hold on to the Klingons. The Klingon ship is destroyed because it's falling apart. This is all set up by the alien. So I'm trying to go fast here, and they realize now that the Enterprise is taken over by a strange force. It's heading at fast speeds, maybe out of the galaxy or somewhere.
Yeah, it's always out of the galaxy.
It's always out of the galaxy. It's bad news. There's nothing out there. And when Kirk goes down to confront Kang and crew about this, suddenly the different domestic items around them are transformed into blades of conquest, and they start fighting. And
I love that sound, by the way. It's like the
And so at that point, there's a strange situation where much of the crew is trapped, and the Klingons and the Enterprise forces are exactly balanced, and everybody's experiencing these raging emotions of anger and hate and bloodlust, and they don't know where this is coming from until Spock reasons out that it's this alien aboard. So now they're trying to figure out a way to get rid of this alien and not succumb to these emotions, and everybody has their moments succumbing to it. McCoy on the bridge, and Scotty and Spock go at it a little bit, and Chekhov, Walter Koenig doing his great malevolent thing that he can do, like he did in Mirror Mirror, assaulting the Kang's wife, and but Kirk and Spock managed to kind of keep things together, and they decide to try to. They realize that this alien that's on board, this pinwheel, is feeding on negative emotions, the way other strange aliens feed on positive emotions. So they realize if they just make some peace, bury the hatchet, feel at ease and love, then this thing will go away and its power will be reduced. So Kirk tries to negotiate with Kang. It breaks out into a fight. a pretty good fight actually, and but at the climax of this, Kirk in a position to maybe dispatch Kang, he throws away his sword and says, this is the problem. We got to deal with this alien. We got to, get these hateful thoughts out of our mind." It sounds like a really dumb episode the way I'm describing it. It's actually very entertaining, and Kang is eventually convinced. They all decide to make nice, throw away their weapons, and they kind of laugh the alien off the ship, and we canonically see that engineering in Scotty's engineering is in the secondary hull. It's not the impulse deck, because that little pinwheel comes out of the secondary hull. And in the deleted scene, as soon as the alien is gone, Kirk turns around and phasers Kang in the guts, and that's the episode. So yeah, that's what I always imagined happened. But, okay, that was it.
That was a really
scattershot
nice and quick summary.
They actually bring King back a couple of times. He shows up in Deep Space Nine. He shows up in Voyager.
Yeah, and he's I've only seen that one Deep Space Nine.
Too.
Yeah, where they all three, him and Koloth, where they all reprise their roles.
Yeah.
But only Kang really felt like the same character from the original
Kor and
series.
Koloth feel switched. I always think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, but it's a good episode. A lot of action. It's kind of heavy-handed, but it's fun.
But Kang is my favorite of the original series Klingons. Michael and Sarah is just so good at that.
Yeah.
Which Dax was it that hung out with these guys? It was Curzon. So Curzon would have been how old around this time, around TOS?
He probably would have been a kid. I don't think that he might not have even been born yet. He didn't really meet up with them until right after Star Trek 6, when he was really young. He's probably in his late 20s.
But there is a Dax that then who's the Dax before Curzon?
Willie.
It was
Willie Dax. Hey y'all.
The one I think the one who died in the flight. Then before him was Emery, the gymnast that Dr. McCoy.
That's the one Dr. McCoy.
When she was like he had like the hands of a surgeon.
Yeah. Very cool, very cool. So the Daxes are hanging around.
They didn't live very long, 'cause there's like a whole bunch of them that existed in like the 23rd century. Like they had like a very short lives.
It's hard out here for a Dax.
Jadzia didn't last long either.
Yeah,
so.
she didn't last. Oh, that's sad. Oh my gosh, these Daxes, man! Like, wow.
They live too well. They live too good. Their lives are too fun.
I hope they're not the Daxes. They're the other. But yeah, Daxes. The hosts don't last long. But
it's like the Eighth Doctor or whatever that Doctor Who was just for the movie and then gone. Yeah.
Although if you count like all of the books and audio dramas and everything, then you could argue he's the longest reigning Doctor.
Okay, yeah. It's also a Dax.
Actually, Matt Smith might have beat him. Actually, because
the Dax with the weird feet.
Yeah.
I feel like, not to talk about Doctor Who, I'm so sorry, guys, but Matt Smith goes from like 900 to like 1200 or 1500 years old in his time, so maybe he's the longest one. But anyway,
canonically, yeah. Although I think they might have gone all crazy with that now with the some of the newer revelations.
That's true. I forgot about that. That's right.
We should talk about Star Trek. It's so much better than Doctor Who.
Kang is great. We love Kang. And he's the first Klingon who, I mean, Michael and Sarah just has that seething kind of personality. I mean, it just oozes out of him. But he's the first Klingon that seems also to really have an honorable side. He's not as conniving as the other ones that we come across. And even though he's fully an adversary, you get the first hints that, okay, maybe we can get along with Klingons. Maybe we can find a common ground with them. So
like you can kind of respect them.
Totally, yeah.
We get a lot.
Kor is really like devious and treacherous.
We get so many great lines too in this episode. I feel like there was all that stuff about Klingons don't have a devil, but we know how yours works. Like we
have no devil.
Yeah, even though Next Generation messes that up.
We have Feklar.
But TNG got that wrong.
I am Feklar.
This wasn't Kor's religion.
They even had a line about this panel that we're doing today. It was very prescient. There was that line where Scotty said there's a bunch of fuzz-faced goons or something, right? That's just like us today.
That's us, all of us. So, we are a bunch of fuzz-faced goons. It's true. Ian, what did you think of this episode?
It was all right. Talk about Kang being overly painted. Well, all the Klingons being overly painted in this one. I think they must have used all the brown boot polish.
It's not an easy one to figure out a costume for.
Yeah, yeah. It's all right. I watched it today and I found myself losing interest.
Was it because of was it because of the were you turned off by the makeup stuff or just something else?
I think it was the story. It was the story for me. The highlight was Kang. But yeah, there was just some. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about it. I just started gravitating to my phone and listening to it and doing that. It didn't hold my attention as many other episodes do. Certain episodes did. I thought they underplayed the assault of Kang's wife. That was really underplayed. But
underplayed.
Yeah, no,
you think? Would you mean you wish it had
You
been
mean it
more
wasn't
graphic,
like-
or you mean that you think they should have made more of it, or what do you
made
mean
more of
underplayed?
it, and because I think if that was me, I would have wanted to punch Chekhov's lights out as well. Because of what he did.
Yeah, it's true.
And I mean, the reusing of the agonizer was quite good, I thought.
Right, yeah.
Of Chekhov. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it wasn't Spock. A lot of it was Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Spock found the alien. He said yes, the alien, but it was Kirk because it was coming up with the emotions. It was Kirk that
Kirk has so
really
much pain and focus that he can withstand a lot of these like
realized it was there,
influences,
but then obviously Spock went on there, and I did quite like the bit where Spock loses his cool a bit.
Yeah, that's very menacing.
They used the half breed. Scotty calls him a half breed.
Yeah,
which is a bit.
slowly...
But there was I just found it a bit disjointed for me. I don't know why. It was just something about it that was just.
It loses some energy in the second half of the episode.
Yeah,
I've always, and I like this one, but I've always felt that way. There's several season 3 episodes that I think kind of run out of steam halfway through, and I think might have benefited from being episodes of the animated series where there's a shorter runtime.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I just love it when Star Trek gets dark. I mean, I love episodes that are dark, and this idea of an alien that feeds on hate, and some of those lines like, I can't now. Okay, now I can't remember off the top of my head, but I just it's such a grim atmosphere in this episode, and Chekhov being malevolent and evil like that. I enjoy when Star Trek tries that. I mean, I find the ending a little goofy, where they're kind of giggling the thing out of the engineering section.
I like that.
But,
I love that.
But yeah, it's funny.
Get out of here! Get out of here! We don't want.
When King slaps Kirk on the back and he almost falls over. I was watching that this morning. I was like, Antonia, watch this. Watch this Klingon slap Kirk. I love this moment.
Yeah.
Kirk.
Oh, I know the line. And so we drift in space with only hatred and bloodshed aboard. Now do you believe? When he's trying to convince Mara Kirk is, but and just Chekhov imagining that he has this brother that was slaughtered, and McCoy's filthy butchers. I mean, it's a very different tone from many Trek episodes. But yeah, it's probably not a great episode, but I just enjoy it.
It's disturbing when you hear Dr. McCoy talk about like, we can't trust the Klingons, we're animals,
do to prisoners.
Like when you hear, when McCoy is like yelling at Kirk and Spock, he's like, when are the two of you going to start acting like military men and stop acting like... When McCoy is the one saber rattling, something is wrong.
Yes, yeah, totally.
And it's unnerving if you're a fan of these characters. It's very scary and uncomfortable to watch them behave this way.
He did apologize. He did apologize in the end. When they were in the med center, the sick bay. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
He's there, and he did apologize to both Kirk and Spock in there.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that Kirk recognizes. It's interesting also that Kirk is the one here who recognizes the race hatred and calls it out, and he's like, why are we doing this? That's like, we're the opposite of it. We're taught to like fight against things that cause war and hatred, and we're trained, he actually says that, like, that's an interesting thing, and it's interesting that his his path will take him in a different direction later on. And you know, I love to make these like connections, and I don't know if this was on purpose. Like, I've never heard of this before and I didn't realize it, but Kang says no tricks, and Kirk is like, you know, no tricks. And it's the same as like Cruz later on when he's like, no tricks, Kirk. And he's like, no tricks. I wonder if he thought of this and was like, the character in world was like, oh yeah, this reminds me of that time I told Kang no tricks, you know, like,
Yeah.
I did or if like the Klingons know that he has a reputation of being a trickster now, you know, like after this encounter, they're like, oh yeah, like
Yeah,
the reason
they
he
certainly
says
respect Kirk, because you know when we get to Star Trek 6, Chang, who's a
Yeah.
high ranking, he's kind of like he's basically like the Secretary of
Chief of Staff.
Defense,
yeah.
but yeah, like he's in command of the military, it seems. So, yeah, when he is like, I've always wanted to meet you in battle, you know, like he really has a lot of respect for Kirk. I think
Yeah.
this is probably like one of the encounters that made, because you know the Klingons, they're especially like in the original series, they're so guileful. They would appreciate the tactician, the clever. It's very like Odysseus from the Odyssey. Like he's you know the clever
Trickster
commander.
hero.
Yeah, the trickster hero.
Yeah, he'll do anything it takes. Going back to the makeup for a second, I'm glad you brought that up, Ian. Of course, it is offensive, and we know better now. But I was watching this with my dad this morning, and I was asking him, Dad, like when we were little, because we used to watch this episode. I actually remember this episode as a kid, and I remember the overall moral of it and everything, like, and you know, about hatred and everything. And I think it was very impactful. But I asked him, I'm like, Dad, like, did you guys realize that like the actors here are not, you know, they're not
blacked
black.
out.
Yeah, they're wearing brown makeup or makeup to make them look darker skin. He's like, oh, I kind of wondered because when we used to watch it, your mom and I would try to guess which Indian actors they were, because they all assumed, my parents assumed that they hired like Indian actors.
Well,
which I thought
Michael
was
and
funny.
Sarah, isn't he like he's Middle
Yeah,
Eastern?
Lebanese. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So to them,
And he played a Native American in a Western.
yeah.
he
So I
did
mean,
a lot
Well,
of
he's
Native
double
American
captain.
work.
I'm really glad we've moved
So did
away from
Nimoy.
this, but I have to give credit to the actors, because with what the norms were of the time, they're like actually like delivering, like, you know, obviously Klingons are not meant to be any specific race on Earth, but you know, I think sometimes they were a stand-in for the Russian Cold War, you know, like
Yeah.
that kind of thing and stuff like that. But it is interesting, you know, with Star Trek, you can kind of go in world and say like, oh yeah, well that's what Klingons look like, so we have to do the makeup on these folks and stuff like that.
Well,
Yeah,
they
they're just
still-
trying to
they
make
still
them look
place-
more alien.
Yeah, what's that? Ian?
I mean, they still blacked out white actors to play Klingons, even in TNG. Still did it in TNG.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like in where Star Trek gets a little bit of like a, not a pass, but just like where it's understandable, is that like Klingons could all be brown, and so like you know like you're you're not gonna like, you know. So I'm glad they don't do that anymore. Or when they do now, they have these full makeup things, and also Klingons are varied in different skin tones. I like that the newer Star Treks have opened up, you know, Romulans, Klingons, all those species are kind of like more diverse in the way that they look, which makes more sense if you think about how like there are, you know, different ways that
Now you
humans
watch
have evolved.
Discovery, and Klingons are like purple and
Yeah,
gray
purple and gray.
all
Yeah,
kinds of
I like
weird colors.
I actually appreciate that, because I think that's more quote unquote like realistic, like, you know. But I you know, I kind of tend to give Star Trek a little bit of a little bit of an extra layer of, you know, like understanding as far as that goes. But yeah, I did think it was funny that my parents thought that. Also, incidentally, another egregious thing, Fisher Stevens playing an Indian man in brown face. My parents always thought he was Indian too. So they did a good job at fooling us when we were like, the actors did a good job. So
Yeah. When I was a little kid, I thought Dr. No, the James Bond villain, I thought that was like an actual like Asian dude. I didn't know it was
Oh,
like a
wow.
guy with makeup.
Well, and I mean, I think there's a difference between trying to use makeup to have an actor look a different race from what they are, to have them look like an alien that you just want a quick way to distinguish these aliens from, and you know, it's a very cheap makeup to do versus like a prosthetic ear or something like that. So, yeah, I would.
They
grant them some
did
slack.
seem to, they did seem to in this one though, because you look at Koloth and everything, they really didn't go that
Yeah.
dark. But
Yeah.
with Kang, the Kang and the Klingons in this one, they seem to go over the top a bit, and I'm not quite sure why.
It was just off-putting
Because
to
in
you, yeah.
I think just
the first
to
two
look more
seasons
alien.
wasn't that bad.
Core was pretty
Sorry?
dark, though. I mean, I think originally they were. I think most of season 2 they don't have any face makeup,
Yeah.
except for the guy in Private Little War. That guy is wearing a fair amount, but I don't know how much they really thought about it at the end of the day. I mean, I think if their makeup budget
Yeah.
was bigger at one point, or when the Klingons are more integral to the story as they are. I mean, really, you could say Errand of Mercy and Day of the Dove have the most Klingons integrated into the story. Then the makeup,
I mean-
and maybe they went bigger on the makeup in those cases.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the 60s. They wouldn't have thought about it at all.
Yeah.
It would never have entered their consciousness at all in the 60s. It wouldn't. It's obviously it's today's sensibilities with a program that's over 50 years old. So you can't.
I'm
can't
I'm
do
glad
that.
we don't do anything like that. Like most of these practices we've moved away from it. Like it's kind of like anything that could be questionable is like looked at again, which is I appreciate that. So that's a good thing. Day of the Dove is probably my favorite Klingon episode of the original series, says Chris. Hey Chris, nice to see you, by the way. And probably my favorite episode of season 3. Without this episode, we probably don't have the Klingon look seen later on. Both Core and Kang wear the same Klingon sashes, and so does Worf. Worf wears
It's
that
not the
Klingon
same, though.
sash. Oh, it's similar
And
though, right?
Worf wears his on a different side.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the idea of the sash kind of started.
It was the
And
same
the
actual
Klingons.
prop. It was the same prop that Worf wore that Michael Ansara wore.
The little
it was the very same. I mean, I know he wore it differently, but it was the same object.
But they
It's
added
of
like
her.
a new
The
thing that
emblem.
was animated or something. Like
They have a different. They changed the emblem on it, but
Sure,
I think the reason why they flipped the side for Worf is so he could still have his Starfleet badge on the left side.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
nice.
But all the Klingons you see up until then, like even like the I think the ambassador in Star Trek 4, they call him the pompous ass.
Yeah.
But I think even his goes over the left shoulder.
Okay. Yeah. Same with all the Romulans, and in Friday's Child, and so a lot of that seems to be the standard way.
Jill says pocket-sized paint. Jill says pocket-sized paint stick with Jill says having security officers outnumbered by Klingon words is never wise. And then Blue is saying, Ruben, you should be a special effects artist. Seriously, you have all the tech.
Don't insult special effects artists like that.
Spock is always the
Thank you.
detective solving many mysteries. An
Sherlock
ancestor of
Spock.
his maintained that if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So he's got that deductive reasoning down pat, it would seem. Chris says, I wish Chekhov's made up backstory was real versus made up about Chekhov having a brother. Would have made Chekhov a more interesting character with that sort of background.
I've thought that too. That maybe that would have been cooler if that was real. But I like the
I think
reveal
what
from
would've been-
Sulu.
Yeah, I think what would have been fairly good, like a twist of it, that obviously if he had a brother, but his brother was really successful and still alive and in a field and everything that was there, but he's saying he's dead. But Sulu say, well, actually, no, his brother's still alive and working on Starbase, blah blah blah. That
Right, he
type of
talked
thing,
to him 2 days ago.
Yeah, but I like
Yeah.
that Sulu. It implies that Sulu and Chekhov are like more buddies and like
Yeah.
talk to each other and stuff. And, like,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
Kirk
yeah.
didn't know. Kirk didn't
Yeah.
know Chekhov's the only
Well, even
child.
Spock,
but Sulu
Spock didn't
did.
know, and Spock seems to know everything about everybody. So
That's true. It's a good little point to give them a little bonding, Sulu and Chekhov. Like, they've got to talk about something in between. Aye, sir.
By the way, Uhura's hair was on fleek in this episode. I loved her helmet hair so much. Like, I don't know how they did that. It was like perfect. She had like a perfect like poof thing going on, and I loved it. I was like,
I love these
how they did
episodes that
that
have
is
everyone.
giant ozone and the hole in the ozone.
Yeah.
With hairspray. What were you saying, Father? I didn't hear you though.
I just love these episodes when they have Uhura, Scotty, Chekhov, Sulu.
Everyone
Everyone's
it's
present.
true.
You when you can like remember some lines of dialogue from everyone, they each have like some small moment at least.
Yeah, I
must
love.
admit, the one bit I do like is Scotty's reaction to the Claymore.
Claymore?
Now, is that a claymore though? I've seen a different design for claymore.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you're like, no, that's not a claymore. It's like a rapier or something.
He doesn't know much
Yeah,
about swords.
it wasn't a
Sulu's
claymore
the
as
sword
such.
dude.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Ruben?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay. Jill says the entity planted the most complex made-up story into Chekhov's brain, and Chekhov was the first to lose it. It's true. He was he was the first to get corrupted.
But
It's
we
true.
know that Sulu is more susceptible to fear because of the deadly years when he screamed.
Oh yeah.
So he
That
might have been an
scream,
easy
too.
target, and easy because he's young and easy to frighten.
That's right.
Hey Jace, nice to see you. He says, hey guys, hope everyone is okay. Yeah, I heard there's like snow. Are any of you guys? Are you Sub Commander? Are you?
We have some snow here, but it's not
But
like
not
at the
the
coast.
blizzard,
Yeah, we got a
right?
couple inches, but yeah, they're packed in over there on the eastern seaboard. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope everyone's okay. And also, I haven't seen Robbie for a few streams. Hope he's good. He's all right. In fact, I think he's just busy.
He's celebrating his birthday. Just had his 18th birthday.
Yeah, he just had his 18th birthday. So,
Wow.
wish him a happy birthday if you see him on Twitter or somewhere else. Men sitting around talking about Dax in a TOS chat. LOL, you guys.
Well, that's probably my fault because I enjoy finding the connective tissue in the shared universe. Like,
I think
is
I
there a
brought up
moment?
Dax or something, but well, it's fine. Yeah.
Is there any moment in this episode when George Takei and Michael and Sarah are on screen together? I don't think there is.
No, I
But they're
don't think
both
so.
in that Voyager episode flashback as Sulu and Kang then, so it's kind of
Oh yeah.
that's kind of
right.
cool. But I
That
don't
is
I don't
cool.
think they're actually ever like on set together.
Hmm.
They were working different days. They were shooting different scenes
Yeah.
on different days.
Cerulean Blues here also says greetings. Lots of references to the devil in this, and then I like any episode with Klingons in it. Yeah, Klingons are great. I forgot how.
This is my
fun
second
they are.
favorite TOS Klingon episode. I think the number one is Trouble with Tribbles, just because that's so much fun. But yeah, this is my second favorite of the Klingons.
Yeah, everyone was grabbing Mara too much. Hands off jokes. People toss women around way too much in this era on TV in general. It's like there's a lot of
At least here they
tosses.
treat it like it is pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
They might have been able to play that up more though, like Ian was saying. But it is so like frightful and graphic. Like I almost like hate like describing it on here. But when you have like the close up of her face and you don't
And
see
the hand going.
She
yeah.
winces.
Yeah,
And she's wincing.
Chekhov
It's
has like
yeah.
one hand over her mouth, and like you don't see what he's doing with his other hand, but like like her reaction, it's
It's really
very
effective,
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
they shot that to be like super impactful. It's
Yeah, I think that they've done that twice in TOS where they've done assault and they've glossed over it. The first one was obviously Uhura in Gamesters of Triskelion.
yeah. Oh, what
In
about
the
the
cells.
Enemy Within with Rand?
Oh yeah.
Well, they
Yeah,
dug into
but-
that. They didn't gloss over it.
Yeah, they have like a whole like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a scene of
Yeah.
the reaction to
But
that. so.
I think the Uhura one, obviously in Gamesters, and then this episode, they just it happens. Obviously, it's in Gamesters, it's more you shadows and the screaming, well, not the screaming, the everything else.
Yeah, implied abuse.
It's
Yeah.
implied, yeah.
Oh.
Whereas this one's slightly more where you hear the ripping of the clothes on this one.
But
I like that
not to make light of that, but again, this is they also have Chekhov. He's always kind of the horny dude in the original series, you know, like from the apple, and then
Well, he's young, isn't he?
yeah, he's young.
Yeah,
Typically,
Easy
younger
to-
folks are hornier. It's true. That is a
easy to freak out, easy to get riled up.
yeah.
Even Inspector of the Gun.
Yeah, I was
That's
about to say that, and
right,
then
that's right,
we
yeah.
just saw recently Inspector of the Gun, and then here, and then eventually we see him like run into an ex-girlfriend in a few weeks.
Yeah.
We'll get to that
In a
one.
few weeks. Yeah.
I like that they made Mara the science officer for the ships. It's kind of,
Yeah.
which also seems like a high-ranking position. So always the aliens, like with the Romulan commander, are doing better for their females in the military than Starfleet seems to. So it's not just like a yeoman; she's the science officer. So
Hey guys, was I misremembering the no tricks thing? Because Chris says the line "no tricks" reminds me of Khan and Wrath of Khan as they're looking.
no,
for the
you,
codes that they-
you. I mean, it's a similar situation.
Oh,
but
okay,
actually
okay.
saying no tricks is from no
It's from
tricks. I'm
Star
looking
Trek
forward
3.
to meeting you. Yeah,
That's
it's from
right,
Star Trek
yeah.
3.
Yeah,
They
no
pick up
tricks,
the
Kurt.
colors of
Yeah.
the light around them. They were blue and green in other scenes. Yeah, that's true. They did do a good job of that. They had Ruben flashing his red light on people's faces. So.
This is another one of those like kind of intangible energy beings that's kind of a cheap effect, but they're a neat story idea.
It's literally a child
I
story.
noticed they used a bit more color in the uniforms on the Klingons as well. The brooches in there with Mara's uniform and a few others. There was a few more colored stones in the uniforms as well.
They used some kid's toy to create the light. Then they ran the film backwards, and I forget they did something else to get the weird effect on it. I looked into how they did the effect because I was like, "This is so cheap," but like, I'm still curious about how they did it. And so it was interesting. You know, they didn't have budget, so the production designer just
They even used a different transporter effect for the Klingons as well.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah. Actually, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I read in the Cushman book before we went on that in the original script, the Klingons and the Enterprise crew were sort of trapped by this other alien race called the Dorn, as in Michael Dorn, but they realized they couldn't spend the money to hire people and find a different makeup and have this alien race have them captive and sort of like doing gladiator games. So they just said, well, let's do some little light effect and call it a day. So
that's pretty funny. Is Anger Alien in the episode identical to Alien in Metamorphosis with Zephram Cochrane? Oh, very interesting. A very similar.
They're similar, but not that.
I mean, I'd rather all these bored alien god things be the same one because it's really getting
That's
on
what
my nerves.
TNG just did. Like TNG's like, let's just consolidate.
God things are there in this universe?
That's what TNG, they consolidated it all to like Q basically, right?
Yeah.
Like they just kind of like were like, oh yeah, okay, we're just gonna make one guy who's like the main trickster godlike entity, and so that's what happened. But yeah, you're right.
Sort of, because later on they have that what's that old man who destroys all of Vishnu or
that's Kevin Uxbridge.
Yeah.
but he's like some sort of god thing. I mean, he's not bored and he doesn't do anything, but all these like
what I liked about that is
that's
like
Worf. That's Worf, isn't it? Good tea, nice house.
Yeah.
I think during TOS, as they're going out into this, like they're going further than they've gone before, sort of like they're on this 5-year mission or whatever, so they're encountering all these wild things, and by TNG you kind of know what happened. Like, they probably all like they're all cataloged and they've got like treaties with them. They've got treaties with them. There's buoys around planets. Like by that time it's a little safer. That's
why TNG is a more boring and less good show than the original series.
Wow. Shots fired.
Everything is so safe.
Jill was referring earlier to the Discovery Klingons. They weren't really purple, but they could be. I mean, you could have purple Klingons. I'd be cool with that. They were surrounded by purple light, and it reflected off their gray skin. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying the colors with those Klingons when they were black, they were like jet black.
Yeah, I love Takuma's skin. It's like, and it's glittery almost. Like it almost like
it's like an ebony type, shiny ebony type color.
Yeah, he looks like he's made of like something stone, like a stone-like figure. Yeah. He's very, he's beautiful for lack of a.
Takuma.
Yeah, Takuma. The first time I saw Takuma, I was like, "Look at Ruben."
I heard someone.
Like, I don't want to talk about Takuma.
Takuma was which one? The Klingon leader who's
like there for 10 minutes and then he
the one who called
started the war. Yeah,
right.
I heard Kennedy at Warp on Twitter. She's on the Women at Warp podcast, but yeah, she said Takuma is a beautiful man.
Yeah, there's something about.
I mean, if I'm going to say one nice thing about Discovery is I actually like the Klingons more than the humans. I'd rather see the Klingon story than most of the human characters.
Wow,
they're far more interesting.
Nice things about Discovery segment by Ruben Diaz by the Entity. Pocket Size Paint Stick says Takuma scared the bejesus out of me. Very effective antagonist. Yeah, he was
not as good of an antagonist as King though.
Yeah, King.
Michael and Sarah also plays that guy who wanted to marry why can't I think of her name?
He's also in Buck Rogers as a
Deanna Troy's mom.
Killer Kane.
Luoxana. Yeah, he-
Luxana.
Oh, he was in TNG.
No, she's on a Deep Space Nine episode that he shows up in where he's like this jerk who wants to marry her, so she has to have a fake
Interesting.
The
wedding to Odo.
Muse. He plays a character named JL. The Muse.
Yeah, the Muse. One of the worst episodes of DS9, but not because of that, but because of the A story in it with.
You know, he has a great
and
role.
Loxana's on it.
He has a great role in one episode of Babylon 5.
Oh yeah,
the coming of shadow, the geometry of shadows, or something like that.
Yeah,
where
Elric,
season
he
one.
plays, I think.
yeah,
right?
like this techno
The
mage.
techno mage.
but- yeah, he's great in that. I love that.
Yeah, and he
Loxana
was,
appearance automatically takes off 3 points from any episode.
watch Half Alive. Half Alive is a beautiful episode. That's a great episode.
Yeah.
But he was also Mr. Freeze in the Batman animated series in the 90s, which if you watch like that first Mr. Freeze episode, Heart of Ice, that's a really good. Just like watch it treated as like this little 20-minute short film. It's a fantastic performance from him, just voicing the character.
Hey guys, this is really interesting. He was on I Dream of Jeannie, and he plays a major named Major Jellicoe.
Well, and he was married to Barbara Eden.
Mhm.
He was married to
Oh,
Jeannie
yeah.
for
That's right.
a long
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
He had a very he had a very distinctive voice, though. I thought.
yeah.
Coaches.
I had a huge crush on Barbara Eden. I just remembered that she was so fetch, so boss.
It just
And I liked Gidget too when I was a kid. I loved Gidget. I used to get excited about Gidget coming on TV. My parents were like, "That's funny."
I loved all those like 60s, 50s beach movies.
Yeah, those were great. There's a great parody film called Psycho Beach Party that makes fun of all those films. Everyone should check out Psycho Beach Party. But what did you guys the Klingons were so effective at taking the ship. This was one of the cool things about the episode that I really liked, is how they were able to like take half the ship, I guess, from whatever deck below and everything.
Cunning
like
warriors.
That. Yeah, cunning warriors.
I love that
is
shot of them
brilliant.
like sneaking onto engineering. I mean, it is kind of cheesy, I guess, but I just love the visual of it.
Yeah, it was pretty
Jumping
cool.
off the top of the console and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gutsy. You know, they're not just gonna sit there and be good prisoners. They're gonna be ambitious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think if
to-
they would, if they were to remake that today, for example, do you think that they would be the Federation would have swords and they would have batleths and everything else? Do you think they would have that? They would do that, Neil?
Yeah, they would use the iconography of the Batleth.
Yeah.
I would think so. I mean, I would do it. It'd be cool.
It just hadn't been.
I would even go as far as
introduced
if
yet.
I were them to actually make a kind of Starfleet sword. Like the Marines have a ceremonial sword.
Right.
There's a specific Marine sword.
That's a really good idea.
Kirk used a cavalry sword, a particular cavalry sword.
Yeah, they just
but
borrowed
I
that
would give
from the
them an
Western
iconic
props.
Starfleet sword. That's just they don't use it like the Klingons do, but
It's
it
the
exists.
one. It's the one Sulu has in the 2009
I mean,
Star Trek.
if you're occasionally facing off against an opponent that uses something like a batleth, you want a sword to defend you or a similar weapon. A phaser is not going to help stop a batleth
No.
if
And
it's
then
coming
the-
at your face. You know.
And
It will
then
if you stun them before they get that close. to
Well,
you.
yeah, but if it's coming at your face, you know,
then you could have
blocking
Spock.
with a little phaser is not going to do anything.
I must admit, there was one bit that did make me laugh was the sword fight in the corridor outside engineering. And there is some you can see the rubber swords. You can see them because they're bending all over the place.
Yeah.
It was like kids out in the street, sort of playing, swords and everything else. But
I think
literally,
it
because
would-
one I went there and it just went, whoop, and it just came back up. One of the Klingons did, and I burst out laughing when I saw that.
It'd be cool if Spock had a bag of like Idics that he could use as throwing stars, and like throwing the Idics. Maybe that's against the purpose of the Idic, but
Oh my gosh,
chunk, chunk,
it
chunk.
actually does. I mean, I feel like if you sharpen this
Right?
thing, you could do it.
do
You
some
can pull it
damage,
off.
yeah.
You could just like
You want Spock
um,
to throw that at your
Throwing
jugular.
stars.
Yeah.
Blue asked if Disco had batlets, and I'm pretty sure they did. I think there was
They
like
did, but they weren't
they
very.
changed it, right?
Yeah, they were changed pretty drastically.
They're
It's
more
weird.
ornate,
All the
right? They're more-
Starfleet props were like really faithful to original series. Like the phaser pistols and the communicators and stuff. And then like any of the Klingon props were radically different.
It looked like it was made from bone, or the batleth. in Discovery, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, you're right. It had like it had like this like ivory look to it,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're totally right.
I think they changed it. They changed it for season 2, obviously because they changed the Klingons again to have more hair and everything else. And I think they went a bit more back to what we knew. But yeah, they still changed it.
By the way, the actor who played oh gosh, why am I blanking on the Klingon?
Kang,
thank you. Oh my gosh. He died in 2013. I didn't realize that.
It was like 90 something.
At 91, yeah. So
Yeah, I remember when that. Well, that seems like it was so long ago.
Yeah.
It felt like it just happened.
Yeah. It's almost 10 years
2013.
ago.
It was 8 years plus double the years of the pandemic. You triple that. So it's actually been like 30 years since 2013.
Two things I noticed, and I wonder what you guys think of this. Like, was this like the proto pattern buffer thing? Like when they stored the Klingons they were like in transit or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Scotty's like, we've stored them in transit.
They didn't use the term pattern buffer yet,
right?
That was probably something that Michael Okuda was thinking about this episode and wrote that into the Next Generation Technical Manual that those writers used.
Right when they started solidifying more of the stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't remember.
Like when he was figuring out how dilithium crystals work,
right?
And all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
which we get dilithium. We get some dilithium information in this episode, and that they're being drained. But also we get. I didn't realize this, but I always thought TNG was the first to come up with this. But site-to-site transport is from this episode. They call it intership transport.
Intership beaming, yeah.
Intership beaming.
Yeah, and Spock says how dangerous it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Discovery now usurps this in world, in canon. We saw Lorca doing it like it's no big deal.
Well, that was a weird science ship.
That was a weird science ship. And now that we know, and there's another explanation, I think, which is now that we know that Lorca was from another, the Mirror Universe, it's possible that they had already mastered it in that universe. And so all you had to do, he knew how to upgrade it or whatever. You know, all these captains are engineers anyways, like scientists. So they could probably figure it out. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why you could get away with it in Discovery, but truly I didn't remember that there was a reference to it in TOS, which is pretty cool, or like the idea of it came up in TOS, and I thought that was really neat.
I think the one thing that surprised me as well is the actress that played Mara, how different she looks with the Klingon makeup, because she looks totally different. Susan Howard.
Yeah,
she was in Dallas.
Yeah, she was in Dallas.
Right. Well, she did a lot. She was in Petrocelli. She was in Bonanza.
What's Petrocelli?
Sorry?
What's Petrocelli? I never heard that.
Petrocelli is about an American attorney. It was always this thing that he was building his own house, and the wall just never. It was always at the end of the episode there would be laying bricks for the house, and the wall seemed to go down as opposed to up. It was just one of those in-house bits. But she plays Petrocelli's wife, I think.
She's a Texan. She was born in a town called Marshall, Texas, in 1944, and she.
Marshall.
You know Marshall? Is that near you?
That's up around Dallas, I think.
Oh, okay. So it's funny that she was in Dallas. That's cool. She's
in Dallas.
Susan Howard, who's great in this episode, is still alive. So hello, Susan Howard. I wonder if she ever goes.
I mean, she stopped acting, but she's been a lot of huge career. She was in Love Boat. She was in Vegas. She was
if Starfleet
Boy,
when I'm finished with everything Star Trek on Starfleet Boy, we're gonna do Love Boat next. I feel like that's like we probably
similar setup. It's a similar setup.
It'll be a similar
boat out there on a long voyage, exploring new worlds and islands.
I really wish
relationships similar.
To be honest, the only one you could do is Saturday Night Live. Love Boat: The Next Generation.
Love Boat: The Next Generation. That was a great skit with Sir Patrick Stewart. That's right. I forgot about that.
I actually got that uniform made, and I did wear that on the cruise.
Shut up! You did.
Oh wow!
You wore the Love
Stupid. Captain
That's pretty funny.
There's quite a lot of people on the cruise actually do recreate that uniform on the cruise. Yeah, I've seen quite a few people recreate that.
Jill's saying, "Why not Babylon 5 after Star Trek?" No, Star Trek's never gonna end. We're never gonna stop talking about Star Trek. Like there's no. It's gonna take 10. I think I calculated like something like 5 more or 10 more years to finish.
The 700 episodes that you're talking about that weren't like the new shows. It'll take 14. If you did one episode every week, it takes about 14 years.
14 years. There you go. We are working double time or triple time sometimes, so it's fine. But like,
you've never done 3 episodes in this. You've never worked triple time.
No. I'm talking about like we're doing Discovery Live, so that's already all the new shows.
Yeah, those don't count. I'm not counting.
Yeah. Okay, but just everything before it.
I'm just counting the 28 seasons of TV. Well, no, 20. I guess 30 if you count the animated series as 2 seasons.
Maybe one day we'll have.
I did the math on it because I'm weird and I obsess with numbers sometimes.
I love it. So there you go. We're in this hall together, audience and I, for 14 more years at least. So.
Well, no, because you've already been doing it for I think 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. You're right.
So
Lord.
Yeah, you only have about 10 years to go.
There you go.
But then there's so much other Star Trek that's coming through, so there you go.
Then we'll be current, and then we'll do Love Boat.
Love Boat followed by Fantasy Island.
Oh yeah. I did not realize the actor Michael and Sarah who portrayed King did the voice of the Ancient One in the Doctor Strange versus TV film from 1978.
Oh.
I never even knew there was a Doctor Strange TV film in 1978.
It's
that's the year I was born. That's crazy.
Really bad.
It's pretty infamous.
Stress-free cases. I know I'm super late. You're never late. A wizard always arrives, or I should say, a Trekkie always arrives when they need to. Lorca had batleths among his collection of alien weapons of war in his room. Yeah, it's like an ornate-looking, different-looking batlet. You're right. That was in the
Disco season
menagerie.
1 batleth.
Yeah. Will you do 1 or 2 episodes of TAS each week? Just one. I can't expect these guys to give that much time to me, so we're just gonna keep doing it. You're gonna be here for the long haul. There's
only 22 episodes. There's only 22 episodes.
We'll finish that over the summer. That'll be like that's not gonna take long to go through.
I'm almost done with animating myself for each of those episodes. Yeah. Taking a lot
I am expecting a Kirk is a jerk shirt from you.
I think I figured like we would be done with all of season 3 and then all of the animated series by I think November.
Okay.
That's a cool thing. I love that your mind works that way with math. That's cool because I never even stopped to think about it twice. Any closing thoughts on this episode and ratings? I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a good old 6.5. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. I wouldn't place it among my favorites, but I will say that, like, you know what? I'm just gonna give it a 7. I'm gonna bump it up. I'm talking myself up. Look at that. I'm so good at like even convincing myself.
You know what? No, I'm thinking about 8.5.
It's like a 12. No, it's a 7.
2 hours later.
It's a 7 because I did remember like being like loving this episode when I was a kid. Of course, you know, the sword fights and everything. It's all, you know, kids love that kind of stuff, and well, I did as a kid anyways. But as an adult, I appreciate it, and I didn't really talk about it much, but Kirk's speeches always moved me, and he had another good one. He had another, like, cracker in this one where he's like, you know, talking about... Yeah.
So, Hell, why do you hate the original series so much?
I don't hate it. What are you talking about?
You give every show you review 10 out of 10 every week, except for the original series.
It takes them 50 years to actually be...
you know what? You know why he doesn't give 10 out of 10?
I should say.
Wait,
so in 30 years, he'll be giving you the real scores for TNG.
No.
The only reason he doesn't give 10 out of 10 is because we give him so much grief. You give him 10 out of 10. That is the reason why he doesn't do it. He thinks if he gives it a lower score, that we won't, you know,
you won't give me a hard time. You've caught me. There you go. No, the ratings are just my gut. And by the way, I did rate. There's a lot of episodes of TNG that come in under 10. Actually, there's very few 10s in TNG. It's just I have a problem with recency bias. I think that like when I'm super hype about something and it's like super recent and I don't know what's coming next. And I'm just
I don't
like,
think you have. I don't think that happens to you.
so I think the newer shows do get a higher rating. By the way, also if you go back and watch my Discovery discussions, I'm pretty harsh on Discovery. I feel like there were times where I gave it like a 4 season 1, especially in season 1. So I'm not that bad. I'm not terrible. I'm bad,
Best
but I'm not
TNG
terrible.
episode. The only TNG episode that he gave a 12 to was Sub Rosa.
I mean, I
might
can't
have
really
given it-
talk because I don't give real ratings. I give
Yeah, it's true. But
like this episode, for example. I'm just gonna go ahead and move it to my turn. But this episode, I rate it a 4,000 cut throats by a running man
Oh, yeah,
out of
that's right.
one night.
I
It's
forgot
a great
about that
line, by the
That
way. I
is a
love
great
that line.
Yeah.
They
It's such a
use it
specific
again.
number.
When
Like
do
they
we
clocked it.
Yeah.
When do we hear that again in Star Trek? I feel like we heard it another time. Is that something, or is it just
I
something
say it
imagine?
sometimes. You might have
You
heard
do
me
say it.
saying
Okay,
Mm.
okay. Maybe that's where I heard it.
It was in Mark Ochran's original Klingon dictionary as a common phrases in
Oh,
Klingon. Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
That's
and
very cool.
when they're saying victory in engineering, that's like the translation for the audience, but they're
Right.
probably actually saying kapla,
Kapla,
kapla.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. Ruben, what do you give this episode? And what are your final thoughts?
I mean, overall, I like the episode. It's it's not the greatest episode in the world. It's not the worst episode in the world. It's kind of a in the middle somewhere. As a kid, I loved the sword fights. As an adult, knowing how sword fights actually work, it's kind of heartbreaking. And pretty much everybody would have died because no one's playing defense in any way, shape, or form.
You're not supposed to jump up and down when you do the sword. That's not part of
just like at each other, like you're chopping meat. Yeah, it's an okay episode. Like it doesn't really go anywhere. I never really feel any real tension or anything like that. But like other than that, I'm also never really bored. It kind of interests me. I like TOS Klingons more than later Klingons because I feel like they're kind of in a weird way more realistic to me. Not because of the look, but like they just feel like a more rounded people than later where they're just like these fucking warrior guys, no war this and war, like constantly like honor war, like that's all they ever become. It kind of gets a little annoying, but I'll let the entity give you my score.
It's red hot with anger. I love it. We're gonna
So
say
like,
that's
what
a
I
10.
got?
We're gonna say that's a 10. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, from
Ian,
the entity, it is a 10. Yeah, I'm
it
sure.
is. Yeah. How do you
Oh,
feel
I
about
want to
this?
say, wait,
Oh.
I had a favorite line.
Oh, go
That
ahead.
Hank says towards the end. It says, oh my
About
god,
the
I had it
burning
right
house,
here. No, I
or
can't. Yes,
only.
burning house line. Where is it? Oh my god, I had it here.
Only a fool
Only
fights
a
in a
fool
burning
fights in a
house.
burning house.
Yeah, it's true.
I like that
that's
one
cool.
too.
He also
Good
says
line.
Klingons won't, something. I like the thing where he says something about like
Need no urging
Klingons.
to hate humans.
Yeah. We don't need any, and also no, but like Klingons won't be told when to kill or something like that. It's like we have our own reasons
Oh,
to
yeah. Klingons
Like,
kill for
yeah.
our own purposes.
for all our own purposes, which I really liked as well, which is cool.
And just well, we're on like the Michael and Sarah badass line delivery bandwagon. I do just want to point out one cool line from Kang in the Deep Space Nine episode Blood Oath, where they have like that Klingon restaurant on the station. When Kang is just making like his observation to Dax about how things have changed, and he doesn't sound like bitter. He just sounds like a guy who's like kind of observed it and accepted it. But when he says our warriors now serve Gok to the grandsons of men I killed in battle.
Oh yeah,
It's just like
Right,
times have
right.
changed. That's such
Yeah.
a
That's
badass
so
line.
interesting. That is a badass line. Wow, that's really good. That's very good. Ian, what about you? What'd you think? And if you care to give a rating.
Oh, it's one claymore in a sea of gladiuses.
Nice.
I think actually there's one line that I do like that obviously they're trying to coax Kang to that they're going to kill his wife, and he just says, "Oh, she's a casualty of war." Just it's there, but yeah, it's as I said, I've said before, it's not a favourite of mine, but it's by no means the worst. But I will stick with the one claymore in the sea of gladiuses.
They call back to that moment with Mara, with her partner being willing to sacrifice her, because we see that in Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
You guys just froze
Yeah.
for a second for me. I'm sorry if I didn't hear some of that. And what's Ruben doing? He's outside now. Wow, weird. Okay.
Oh,
Ian, can you tell your rating again? I didn't hear it.
You didn't. The one Claymore in a sea.
Oh,
of
you did say it. No,
gladiators.
I heard you say it. Okay, sorry. Yes, that was really funny. Sub Commander, will you take us out of with your final thoughts on this?
Sure, absolutely. So in the heart, in the head, I won't stay dead. I'm gonna give this a good rating, even though people don't like this episode.
And that's good too.
It's a guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure. It's a little ham-handed. It's a little. I think they were trying to lean into the '60s protest. We want peace, not make love, not war, kind of thing.
We didn't even go over that, but good point. Yeah.
But I love Michael Ansara in this. I love the dark moodiness of it, and despite the goofiness, I'll give it a six blades out of 10 blades. So yeah.
Well, I like pocket-sized pain sticks. 8 Cossacks out of 0 dead brothers.
She also says, the more of these quotes you recall, the higher my score gets. It's awesome.
100 chipped blades.
Stress Free K also wants to say, oh, by the way, Father, you have that was your funniest rating ever. For Jill, so that was good. You've reached a new high point here. TOS also has some very glaring social deficits, like how Kirk treats women, that are immediate downgrades despite its overall progressive efforts for that era. I think the Time Crystal Klingons are the best of them all, says Stress Free K. Yeah, those Klingons were pretty badass. The monks, the Time monks, if you will.
Good old Kenneth Mitchell.
Yeah,
Kenneth
they're all
Mitchell,
and then let's see, Klingons look pretty alien later. Worf TNG is not so bad either. And then Chris says, this is a 9 out of 10 episode for me. We get to see the first female Klingon in Star Trek. I like the introduction to Klingon battle cruisers, new makeup look, plus seeing so many Klingons is nice. This is one of the few episodes in my top 10 of the original series. Very nice. I hope you enjoyed our discussion today. Chris and everyone else, thank you, audience, for coming. Everyone, please go check out Text Trek. Yesterday, Text Trek did a discussion for Star Trek Prodigy, penultimate episode before the mid-season break. Well, before this, I don't know. It's gonna be a long break, I feel like. So it's more like, I guess it's the half season. I don't know what you want to call it, but I guess they're calling it mid-season, and then it's going to go on a break. Father, what else is going on? The podcast comes out on Monday, right?
Yeah, you can check out our show live on YouTube Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central, or listen to it later wherever you get your podcasts, on either late Sunday night or early Monday morning. Those will pop up there. But we are covering each and every episode of new Star Trek right now, and we're going to be busy with that a lot this year, because we're working on Prodigy now, doing the mid-season finale part 2 next week, and then we're going to be talking Discovery after that, and then Picard is going to return March 3rd, and then Strange New Worlds later, May 5th, and if we ever get any downtime with no new Star Trek, we'll be talking about old Star Trek. So
absolutely,
lots of content.
I'm hoping we get to see that, Father E, when we're away, because that's all starting while we're away.
Yeah, they're from what I've been told, like they're planning on showing Picard, probably the Discovery finale also. But they announced Picard a while back that they would show that. So
yeah, they did when on the cruise when Picard came out, they did show that as well.
But if I'm at sea when those episodes come out, I'll have a special substitute host, alternate host. We don't want to say substitute. Alternate sounds better. But we'll have alternate host, Starfleet Boy, in command of the Starship Texas.
Text Trek abhors a vacuum. I can only succeed you, Father. Sorry, I don't know why I have these. Some of these are handy. They're right there, and sometimes I can't recall them. It's just part of getting older. And then tomorrow, Father and I are going to get together and continue our watch long series of Star Trek Picard. Same channel right here. We're going to start at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Absolute Candor, and then we'll be watching right after, with a short break. We'll watch right after Stardust City Rag. So come and join us for that if you have some time. And then also we do a reaction to Star Trek Prodigy like right away on the night it drop, or the evening it drops on Starfleet Boy, which is every Thursday. So check that out as well. And then there's Starfleet Boy After Dark, where we had a pretty crazy time last night. I had a lot of fun with you guys. I learned a lot.
Last night was like a tone poem.
Last night was like a tone poem. It's true. I learned a lot. So check that out. You can find Ian on YouTube. He's Trek Cat on Twitter and YouTube. Ian's doing. He's not putting up any new videos at the moment, but I saw that you're starting to get some stuff in so that you can start making videos.
Yeah,
so that's
I've
pretty
managed
cool.
Thanks to Sean Ferrick. Sean is, because Sean lives in Ireland. I'm getting the blue brick stuff.
Yeah, I saw
and
those.
I've this week I've recorded a podcast with Sean.
Oh, awesome!
This week as well. So I'm not quite sure when that's coming out, but keep an eye out on Sean Ferrick's.
Please
podcast.
keep us posted so we can listen to it and share. That's cool.
It was quite odd. It was one of those things that we talked for about 2 hours, and we sat there and went, I think we better do this podcast.
By the way, everyone go check out Sean Ferrick. He's part of Trek Culture. So is Paul, who comes on some of our shows as well. So check out Trek Culture. And also Fathery and Ian are part of the... Oh, sorry.
Ian's not.
What?
Not anymore.
Oh, sorry.
Ian's not
Ian's independent. Go check out Trek Cat. Fathery is part of oh gosh, now I'm
Treksphere
blanking.
Network.
Thank you, Treksphere Network. What were you gonna say, Fathery?
I was gonna say, people are asking me, hey, it's 3:00. Where is everyone? So what's going on?
Yes. So we gotta go. It's we're heading to another stream. But before we go, you can check out. Actually, Fathery, do you mind going in advance into the other stream and just like, I'll open it.
I don't have a link to it.
Oh, I didn't send you a link. Damn it!
Unless you did it on Twitter.
Okay, 1 second. Father, will you promote Ruben's content and Sub-Commander's calls while I do something? I'll be right back.
Well, I think, wouldn't it be better if they promote their own content?
Yeah, guys, promote your own content.
Check out my Twitter, Subcommander T, and at Mr. Leslie TOS, and that's it.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter at rmartian, and you'll pretty much find everything else there. You can also go to my website, I guess, ruben-writes.com. That's RUBEN, not REUBEN. And that's about it for me. Articles, interviews, many interviews.
So Ruben, not like the sandwich.
Not like the sandwich.
Okay.
I am tasty like the sandwich, but not fed like the sandwich. You're on mute.
I'm on mute. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Live long and prosper. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.